Alright fellas, it's been a while, and I feel like I say that way too often nowadays. Anyways, the reality is that I've had to deal with some family stuff in real life, and that has sucked away pretty much all my free time. Like, without exaggerating, if I used my PC more than 4 hours this past week, that was a lot of time. However, coming back to Path of Exile stuff, I've literally had zero content ready to get uploaded, and that is because before I got entangled with the family stuff, I had just finished wasting my remaining currency on a Fate of the Vaal Blade Flurry Berserker, and that didn't work out. At all. The main reason being, I rushed that build plan and I bet everything on Fate of the Vaal working flawlessly, which it didn't, and I wanna talk about that topic today. As always, before we dig into the topic at hand, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. With Metamorph League coming close to its end, thank god, and a new league announcement right around the corner, there is stuff to talk about before the next PoE league, so be sure to be here when that happens. Plus, all the in real life stuff is done for now, so I should be uploading more frequently. Keyword here is should. Anyways, let's talk about Fate of the Vaal. So, for those of you unaware of the existence of this weapon, this thing is the upgraded version of a story of the Vaal, which comes from the Atzoatl temple, specifically a tier 3 flame workshop. To upgrade the story of the Vaal into today's rant topic, you must sacrifice the weapon on a tier 3 altar of sacrifice with a vial of fate, or you can trade for one, which is how I got mine. The weapon is pretty similar to how Voidforge behaves, in the sense that it doesn't deal physical damage and your DPS is not shown on the tooltip, as every time it attacks it chooses a random element to convert the fist damage into, though that's where it differs from the Voidforge. This one converts the damage while the Voidforge gains the damage. The weapon claims to always apply shock, freeze or ignite with hits, and if an enemy is afflicted with any of these ailments it takes increased damage. The cool thing is that you could apply the 3 status effects at the same time, and as such the enemy takes even more damage. But that's where the positive stuff ends, because in practice the weapon is pretty lackluster. With the current meta and gameplay changes since the weapon was implemented into the game, Fate of the Vaal is probably one of the worst choices for building a character, let alone play melee. The base DPS is pretty low, it's a sword not a rapier, so it doesn't get crit multi as an implicit, and it also has no increased crit chance. Another negative comes from the unique modifier. Hits with this weapon always apply freeze, shock or ignite, as it's the greatest offender, as it's neutered pretty often thanks to map mods. If a map rolls enemies have percentage chance to avoid the elemental ailments, the weapon becomes useless altogether. Besides that, with the current HP changes, I'm pretty sure that you still need to hit the HP threshold in order to apply an ailment, and that also contributes to making the sword feel even worse. The build itself was using Shroud of the Lightless, Tomb Fists and Bubonic Trails, while also using a shield with minimum frenzies and overall pretty competent gear. It was going alright until I started fighting Metamorphs on red maps, where it flopped super hard. So then I respect to Spectral Throw, and that was a terrible idea. It was way slower than Blade Flurry and way worse on single target. With the little free time I had available, I chose to stop playing the character altogether, which inspired this video. And I'm kinda bummed out that the build itself went nowhere, as I had high hopes for the sword. It was in my radar of things since Incursion, but I never had the chance to screw around with it until now. I may give it another shot next league, but for now I gotta recover the currency and go instead fucking around with it. In a sense, it may be my build itself that simply didn't work out, and if that's the case, then that's my fault. But at the same time, I kept going back and forth with PoE, and I simply didn't feel like changing a thing or two at a time, or completely respecting the character to another skill. So, in the end, it's fine, because I had already done what I wanted to do this league, so another character flopping right now is not precisely the end of the world. Since I have a Shroud of the Lightless and 2 Socket Bubonic Trails, we may just reuse those in another build. I'm still thinking what, but it'll more than likely be Winter Orb just for fun, so keep an eye out for that. So yeah, that's it for the main topic. Man, this past week has been something. Being the no-life gamer that I am, it kinda sucks when you can't play games as often, especially if you're trying to put out content on the YouTube. Luckily this real life stuff is done and I can go back to grinding content and hopefully post it more often, because I have been slacking on that regard. Anyways, I wanna thank you guys for watching the video, and if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Again, we are on that road to 300, and with your help we can get there soon, and that motivates me to put out more content on the channel and to stop slacking. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Peace out.